Welcome to the Bermuda government's Budget Sense video series, which aims to do just that. Make sense of what the government's budget is, common terms, and what we can expect with the upcoming budget. For this video, let's go over some of the common terms and frequently asked questions about the budget. What is Bermuda's GDP? GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product, which measures the value of goods and services produced in Bermuda. In 2022, Bermuda's GDP was $7.8 billion. When GDP is divided by Bermuda's population, we have one of the highest per capita GDPs globally. International business makes up the largest portion of our GDP with 28%, while tourism contributes just 3% to our GDP. Revenue versus expenditure. Revenue is the income earned through the provision of primary goods and services. We collect revenue. Bermuda's revenue is generated by things like payroll tax, customs duty, stamp duty, land tax, passenger fees, immigration fees, TCD fees, etc. Total government revenue for the financial year ending March 31st, 2023 is $1.16 billion. In its simplest terms, expenditure is the purchase of products, goods, or services. This is equivalent to buying a cup of coffee, making an Amazon purchase, or hiring a contractor to perform a household service. The government's total current expenditure is expected to reach $1.2 billion. Expenditure is divided into three categories. Current expenditure, which is day-to-day expenses like salaries, electricity, and supplies. Capital expenditure, which is the paving of roads, construction of buildings, and purchasing of equipment or vehicles like buses or ferries. Interest expense, which is payments for interest on government debt. A balanced budget. Why should the government bring down its deficit? A balanced budget is necessary because it helps to protect the future generations from higher taxes. If the budget is not balanced, the government needs to borrow money to pay its bills, which increases interest costs, reducing the monies that can be spent in the future on social programs or investment in infrastructure. What does it mean to reduce the tax burden? And why does that matter to you? Reducing the tax burden simply means lowering the amount of tax paid by a person or a company during a specific period. Government has provided payroll tax reductions for all local businesses and 86% of workers in Bermuda. Reduced the cost of private car license fees by 10%, and eliminated customs duties on essential goods. Why does this matter? Because the less tax you pay to the government, the more of your earnings you get to keep, to spend or invest as you please. How is it determined what government ministries receive their budget allocations? Is it based on priority or the greatest need? Well, yes, it is based on what the cabinet views as the greatest needs, as there are many competing programs. But unfortunately, not enough revenue to do all that the ministers may want to do. Ministries engage in zero-based budgeting exercise, which means each department starts each year with a clean sheet to identify all of their expected expense items and initiatives, and rank them by priority. Ministers then submit their budget requests to the cabinet. If there is less money available than what is requested, the government reviews requests and decides what programs will be funded in line with the priorities of the elected government. One of the challenges with budgeting is that there are many competing priorities with limited resources. It's also critical to acknowledge that different things are a priority for different people. Some would like to see the government focus on increasing the amount of available houses as a priority, while others believe the priority is reducing the cost of groceries. And someone else would say improving the conditions of our roads should be paramount. The government issues the pre-budget report so that we receive feedback from the public, and it is a process we take very seriously. From that feedback, the government ultimately has to make the difficult decision as to how these initiatives are funded, whilst respecting the fact that getting to a balanced budget was equally a priority. So, that's it in a nutshell. Budget basics. On Friday, February 16th, tune in to the government's Facebook page or to their YouTube page at CITV Bermuda to watch the budget statement read live by the Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable David Burt. We hope you've enjoyed this Budget Sense video series.